Welcome, everyone. Let's just dive right in. Today, we're unpacking an explainer on one of the most profound, most recognized historical narratives in all of human history. We are looking at a story that is entirely built around ultimate sacrifice, incredibly raw human emotion, and, most importantly, an absolutely enduring sense of hope. Whether you know this history inside and out, or you're just looking to better understand the core elements that have shaped so much of the world, this is going to be a really fascinating journey. We're going to break down the foundational events step by step. Now, right off the bat, we need to address something crucial. This is not just a story of sorrow. When we look at the historical accounts of Jesus Christ, yes, we are absolutely confronted with immense pain, betrayal, and physical suffering. It's incredibly heavy stuff. But the reason this history has resonated the way it has for thousands of years, it's because the true lasting message is one of triumphant hope. It's all about passing through the darkest conceivable moments to reach something incredibly bright. So keep that idea of hope right at the front of your mind as we walk through this. All right, let's get into part one, the Last Supper, an intimate message of love. So to really understand how we get to that ultimate hope, we've got to start at the beginning of the end. Picture the ancient city of Jerusalem. The atmosphere wasn't chaotic just yet. It was actually calm, quiet, and deeply intimate. Jesus sits down to share a final momentous meal with his 12 closest disciples. Now, these are the guys who had traveled with him, listened to him day in and day out, and completely dedicated their lives to his teachings. You can easily imagine the closeness of this group, right? They're sharing food, sharing fellowship, completely unaware that their entire world is about to be turned upside down. Now, knowing that a massive tragedy was looming, you might expect the focus of this dinner to be on, I don't know, panic or planning some kind of defense. But no. Instead, Jesus centered this entire crucial meal around three foundational values: love, service, and forgiveness. Even with his final hours fast approaching, his absolute top priority was making sure his followers understood these core messages. He was basically setting the ultimate standard for how they should treat each other after he was gone. But then the energy in that room just completely shifts. Right in the middle of this intimate dinner focused on love and service, Jesus drops a massive bombshell. He flat out announces to the room that one of his own disciples, literally one of the 12 guys sitting right there eating with him, was going to betray him. And as the historical texts tell us, this just sparked absolute shock and confusion among the group. I mean, they were stunned. That beautiful unity of the supper was instantly shattered by the reality of this impending betrayal from the inside. Which brings us to part two, agony and betrayal, the dark night in Gethsemane. Leaving the warmth of that supper room behind, Jesus goes out into the cold, dark night to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray. And this becomes a moment of immense emotional tension, deep solitude, and just profound sorrow. Jesus fully knew the immense physical and emotional suffering that was coming for him. The accounts tell us he was in deep, profound agony over it. Yet, and this is a really key point, the story frames his actions strictly around agency and willing sacrifice. Despite the overwhelming dread, he makes the conscious choice to accept God's will. He doesn't run away, he actively chooses to endure what's coming, which is absolutely central to understanding the sheer magnitude of this sacrifice. And while he is praying in agony, the betrayal he predicted earlier that evening, it's already been put into motion. The heartbreaking reality here is that Judas Iscariot, one of his own chosen, trusted disciples, went straight to the authorities and finalized the betrayal. And the price for handing over his teacher? Just 30 pieces of silver. To put that in perspective, it's a striking, almost haunting detail that really highlights the tragic human elements of greed and treachery interwoven into all of this. Now, the way the betrayal actually unfolded is honestly one of the most devastating moments in the entire narrative. Judas leads the authorities right to Jesus in the garden, and to identify him in the dark. Judas doesn't point, he doesn't shout. He uses a traditional, everyday gesture of affection. He walks right up and kisses Jesus. That kiss was the signal. In that incredible, heart-wrenching moment, a literal sign of love was weaponized to hand Jesus over to be arrested. Moving into section 3, the ultimate sacrifice, trial and crucifixion. So the arrest in the garden thrusts us into the most solemn and emotionally heavy chapter of our explainer today. Those peaceful teachings of love and forgiveness we just talked about, they now violently collide with the brutal reality of the justice system of the time. During the trial, the contrast is just incredibly stark. On one hand, you have Jesus facing false accusations and this massive, angry, chanting crowd demanding his punishment. But on the other hand, amidst all that screaming and blatant injustice, he maintains quiet, total innocence. The sources even note that many onlookers knew perfectly well he had committed no crime whatsoever. Yet through all of it, he held firm to an unwavering message of forgiveness. That unjust trial concluded with a devastating sentence. First, Jesus was forced to bear the heavy physical toll of carrying his own cross. Then he was crucified. The sources are very clear that this was an event of extreme, unbearable agony. Yet even in the absolute depths of this ultimate physical sacrifice, his focus remained on his message. It is a moment of profound darkness and suffering, marking the tragic, heavy culmination of the authorities' campaign against him. But here is where everything flips. Part 4. Resurrection and Endless Hope. The Empty Tomb. Historically speaking, when you step back and look at it, this is an incredibly rapid, world-altering sequence of events. Just think about the timeline. On night 1, we have the agony of prayer and the betrayal in Gethsemane. By day 1, the tragedy peaks with the trial and the crucifixion. But then, we reach day 3. Just 3 days later, Jesus' tomb was discovered completely empty. His followers firmly believed that he had been resurrected. Literally, in the blink of an eye, the darkest conceivable moment was completely transformed into an ultimate miracle. And that belief in the resurrection, it changed everything. It took what was outwardly horrific and painful execution and transformed Jesus' sacrifice into an eternal, fiercely positive symbol for all of humanity. His message became the ultimate representation of love, hope, mercy, and forgiveness. The heavy darkness of the crucifixion was entirely eclipsed by the bright light of these enduring principles. Which brings us right to the powerful thesis of this entire explainer. It's beautifully captured in this quote from our source material. The history of Jesus Christ is fundamentally a story of love, sacrifice, forgiveness, and hope that has inspired millions worldwide. This story permanently transcends the sorrow of the betrayal and the cross, becoming a massive, undeniable beacon of inspiration that has literally shaped civilizations across the globe. So, as we wrap up our visual journey through these incredible historical events, I want to leave you with a thought. I want you to really reflect on this question. How does this ultimate act of love and forgiveness inspire your own life today? Because when you strip away the centuries of history and you look directly at those raw elements, choosing love over hate, choosing forgiveness over bitterness, and holding on to hope over despair, there is something profoundly powerful there for all of us to learn from. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore this truly timeless narrative.